Hello, everyone, and welcome to episode 20 of Syncing with ServiceNow. I'm your host, Andy Whiteside. I've got a very special return guest, Becky Whitten, on with me. Whitten. Did I screw it up again? Whitten.
Right.
Now I've got it in my head. It's like I can't get it right. So, hey, Becky, how are you?
Great. How are you?
I'm going to share a little something here. You were telling me your mom's been blowing up your phone all day. It's a special day for her. You can say what it is or not, and you've got to go.
It's her anniversary.
Her anniversary, her wedding anniversary.
It is.
And she wants to buy something for your dad or husband. I don't know.
Yeah, my stepdad. Yes.
Stepdad. Awesome. No, that's so sweet. How old is your mom?
My mom is 73.
73. Oh, that's awesome.
Yep. Easy to remember. 1950.
That makes it easy. I got married in 2000. That's one of the reasons why I can remember. Tax day in 2000, so I remember it no problem. Oh, also because I'm very proud of that day. That's it.
There you go.
So I asked you to bring a blog from the ServiceNow blog site to discuss today, and the one you brought is ServiceNow named a leader in the Gartner Magic Quadrant for IT vendor risk management tools. Why did you pick this one?
Mainly because we've had quite a few customers lately wanting to see demonstrations of vendor risk management and trying to understand why they might need it and so forth. A lot of times they're having to send their vendors and find out different things. They're more siloed and maybe not across the board, being able to see all of that data. They're working in spreadsheets and having to manage it that particular way. And ServiceNow has the vendor risk management out there. So it does allow for the business owner to the users to be able to go in and assign a vendor an assessment, do a tiering onto them, can look to see whether or not they have either third parties that they're bringing into their environment as well, and be able to send them different assessments based upon that. And it brings about and can schedule or calculate the risk of that. There's a portal that is available for those vendors to be able to go out and answer those questions. There's follow-up. If the vendors, sometimes those vendors are not very good at answering those and getting back to them timely. There's KPIs onto all of that. And what's really nice is the vendor has the ability on the portal to be able to add their contacts. And if there's questions that the main person does not necessarily know, they can assign questions in that questionnaire to others into their environment to be able to answer that. So it really does help streamline that and help to look at all the different risks that might be there. And it kind of works in conjunction with the GRC piece of it. So knowing that you have that risk with that vendor out there, and if the vendor has to correct it, and keeping track of that.
So let me walk through the blog with you just to make sure we don't miss anything. A couple of things I want to highlight. So first of all, we've got this Gartner Magic Quadrant. And ServiceNow on the vendor risk ended up somewhere in the upper right-hand quadrant. Talk about ServiceNow and what makes them different from the players that are up there with them.
So the nice thing about it is that ServiceNow has a way for the vendors to be able to go into a portal to be able to track all of that. Not all of these have all of those different features. And a lot of times, if they do, then somebody within ServiceNow is having to add contacts and add users to be able to get in and out and maintain all of that. And it gets cumbersome. This tool allows them to invite people from their company to be able to answer those assessments and so forth, which is really nice. It also has several different plugins where you can do a SIG or a SIG Lite and send that out as well. So it has a lot of different features. You can create your own assessments that some of the other ones might not have that flexibility. You can have your own questions. You can allow different drop downs or different values to be selected. And then it stores that information. So you've got it from now on. And then let's say next year you wanted to do a different assessment for those users. It'll store that. Some of these other ones, it does not do all of those features.
How about this? How about if I were to say the other people in the Magic Quadrant here, in the upper right-hand column, the whole quadrant, to be honest with you, the whole thing, but most of these, if not all of these, are a product specific for vendor risk management, whereas ServiceNow is a module for the workflow of vendor risk management, but it's a bigger overall platform for many, many more things. It's not a one, like these guys are one trick ponies-ish, whereas ServiceNow is a platform that has a module just for this.
That is correct. That is correct. And then you can see all of your different vendors across the board for what you have. So that is a great statement.
And then you can also take the knowledge you gain as part of this and spread it across other departments if and when it's needed, which at some point it's going to be needed.
That is correct. Versus, just being in a silo and, we're just checking the vendors, not necessarily opening that up to all of those different departments and business areas that need to see what's happening.
Yeah. All right, so I want to go to paragraph 2 here. I love this one. I'm going to read it, and then we'll jump into what it says. Today, more than ever, third parties are key partners in business success. Enterprises, I'm going to come back to that word in a minute. Enterprises continue to increase reliance on third-party vendors to help accelerate innovation, digital transformation, and growth. But this greater reliance on third parties exposes organizations to higher risk so that a third party's risk and compliance posture becomes more important than ever to your own risk, posture, and reliance and reputation. It's kind of like that family thing that we're kind of talking about. Not that yours is an example of this. It might be, might not be, but your siblings' problems, whether you like it or not, are going to be your problems at some point.
Roll up.
So you only get so far separated from those things that are truly part of your internal space, and those third-party vendors are part of it. Let me hit the word enterprise. I got my screen. I'm sharing the screen with you, but the word enterprises. I want to argue this word real quick because this isn't for enterprise. This is for enterprise, commercial, mid-market, even SMBs. This statement that's being made in the second part, the second paragraph, applies to businesses of all shapes and sizes. What do you think?
I believe so too. That is correct. And just as you mentioned about all of these different third parties, ServiceNow added a feature for those third parties. There can be different assessments. There's also subsidiaries. So you may have a really large company that has different subsidiaries of it. So that hierarchy, as we were talking, it kind of rolls up to the top. So they might have been a lower level, but because they provide this product or relate to this, then, and this is a higher level risk of being brought into your environment, it rolls up to the top. So whenever you see that vendor, whoops, you now have that. So it's really great to be able to determine those and also be able to do different assessments for each layer.
Yeah, I love that you pointed out that whatever the risk is, wherever it is along the way, it definitely rolls downhill to every part of the organization. And when it comes to having to deal with the fallout, it probably goes both ways, up and down.
That's correct.
All right, so what we're talking about here today is the vendor risk management. Do I call that a module, a workflow? What is that?
It's a module.
Okay, module. And then it highlights 4 bullets here. The first one is integration between ServiceNow product with all of their informations in all of it, essentially in one place. In other words, platform.
That's correct.
Anything to add about that particular bullet besides that?
Nope.
Okay. The next bullet says industry-specific regulatory content. So does that mean if I'm a retail or I'm a hospital, when it comes to vendor risk management, there's things tailored within the module that align with what I need versus the other guy?
That is correct. So they can be categorized or tiered, and then different assessments can go out to you if you're, retail or you're banking or it's financial or whatever that it is. There can be, an IT assessment. Those can all be broken out, and then they can say how often that they're ran. So whether or not they go out, quarterly or twice a year or once a year, all of that can be automated.
Yeah, I love that conversation. I meet with a lot of people that say, I'm this, they're that, we're different. And the truth is 80 to 90% is the same. But that 10% that they really are different is very applicable to their needs.
That's correct.
Next bullet says global network of sales and support centers. What does that mean?
Well, I would assume that across the board with vendors, there are vendors that are across, everywhere. So they may be in the United States, they may be globally, that you're connecting with. Maybe there's some type of a product or something that you're bringing in to your environment. They could be elsewhere. There could be different types of regulatory things based upon that. So that's really where it's saying that it's more of a global network.
So I love that discussion because, ServiceNow is a platform in the cloud. I don't know about all the other products that are over here in the Magic Quadrant, upper right-hand corner, but I know some of them probably aren't truly cloud native, cloud born in the cloud. ServiceNow is going to help us with this vendor management across every part of the organization, including that India or Chinese office or Chinese subsidiary that needs to have this too.
That is correct.
Yeah. All right. Let me get back down to here. I've made the text so big now. Look at that. Pricing inclusive of maintenance, hosting, and licensing with no additional cost. What does that mean?
So the way that ServiceNow licenses the vendor risk is that it is about the vendors that you have in the system. And so it doesn't matter if you have 20 different contact users to be able to access the portal. It is one vendor, and based upon how many vendors that you might have, but you can have a lot more users into the application to be able to respond to these assessments and so forth, but there's no additional cost for that. It is all included, but it is based upon the vendors.
Yep. Awesome. All right, this next section integrates seamlessly with other risk products on the Now platform. I think I probably said the word platform 10 times in this podcast. Yes. I think that's extremely valuable because what you get in this vendor procurement system or this vendor system of management, it's got to be able to get to other places and it's got to be able to get there easily. How do you see that playing in?
So this is a great example. So let's say that a vendor has an application and maybe we have a policy where the passwords need to be 12 characters and theirs are still 8 or are not very complex. So we can go out, find out that information. We can bring that into the GRC or the IRM application now. And so then we know it's a risk. So we can move that as a risk. We can monitor it. We can go back to them, give them an issue and have them to address it. We can track all of that information, find out when they do their updates throughout their company to make sure that the password is now 12 characters or complex or whatever that it is. But the nice thing about it is it does allow us to put it into GRC or IRM, I believe is now what ServiceNow is calling it. And we can mark it as a risk. We know it's a risk. We know it's out there. And so by knowing what we have in our environment gives us a lot more eyesight into everything that we have. And again, we would mark it. It would be addressed. We would be following up with them to find out when they would be correcting those issues. It would be at least our option at that point to the business to determine whether or not we were going to continue or if we needed to do something else based upon the vendor response onto making that change.
Yeah. So Becky, the last paragraph talks about, proud to be recognized by Gartner, an independent reviewer of suppliers of technologies like this. What is, if I'm a customer, why does the vendor risk management solution from ServiceNow, recognized by Gartner as a leader, why does that matter to me?
Well, Gartner is a leader, and so a lot of different companies look to determine where your product might or your company might be on to based upon what type of a tool or what they're checking onto it. It seems to be more of the standard nowadays that companies do look for to be able to see where you're rated.
Right. Yeah. I mean, so if Gartner says you're good, you're probably good. And
yes.
If you're picking somebody, if you pick somebody who's not in the upper right-hand quadrant with Gartner, you better have a really good reason, because if it goes wrong, somebody's going to ask you why.
Why? Yes.
Yeah. Hey, Becky, thanks for joining me on Friday. I know I know I had this scheduled on Monday. I think I was doing something. I don't remember, but thank you very much for doing this, taking your Friday. Go pick up your mom and take her to get her hair done. Maybe she's getting there. Maybe she's getting her hair set.
Oh, I didn't think about that. Well, there goes my afternoon.
That's 2 hours worth of getting it set. I'm envisioning this. You're closer to my age than you're not, I guess. I don't know. But I remember my mom, who was older, she's mostly people's grandmother's age, going and getting her set every Wednesday.
Oh yeah.
There you go. Little beehive set every Wednesday.
Gotta look good.
Hope she has fun, has a good time, enjoys her anniversary. I hope you have a good weekend, and we'll do it again next week.
Sounds great. Thank you.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye.